All right, we're still on pattern. I kind of went off and forgot my lesson at home, so we're gonna do the best we can tonight from memory. Uh, and remember, pattern is so important. You just don't realize how important pattern is. And tonight we're gonna look at it a little bit and see how important it is. Let's go to Luke 24:44.
All righty. Luke 24 and 44. And he said unto them, These are the words which I spoke unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled which are written in the law of Moses and in the prophets and in the Psalms concerning me.
You see why he said that? He said, all things must be fulfilled that are written about me in the Torah, in the Psalms, and in the prophets. See, looking at all, in other words, you have to know the Torah to know who he is. Not the New Testament, it was the Torah. We'll do it again. The Torah, the Nevi'im, and the writings. See, all these things tell you who I am. And that's why, basically, there's not much in the Brit Hadashah that goes into depths about who he is. When you go back into the Old Testament, you find out exactly who he is. And so that's why he told them that. He said, these are the things that you look for. This is the pattern that you look for so that you'll know who I am. They will know who I am. And see, patterns are so important. That's why we love the truth, because it doesn't matter who examines it, it's always going to be the same. Pattern is so important. And so he said, if you go back and read the Torah, let's go to, what is that? Deuteronomy 19:15 or 18:15. Moshe told him, he says, there's one coming like unto me. And so,
That's Deuteronomy 18:15.
okay, 18. Okay.
And 18. They say the exact same thing. But 18:15 Deuteronomy, Yahweh your Elohim will raise up unto you a prophet from the midst of you, of your brethren, like unto me, and unto him you will hearken.
See how important it is to know who he is so that we don't have to guess. A lot of people are guessing. And they said it was Jeconiah, and some try to say it was Israel. But here's the pattern. If we look at the tabernacle, it was always the innocent for the guilty. That's the pattern. They brought an innocent lamb or goat or ox where they were innocent. They didn't do the sinning, but it was the thing that covered that sin for mankind. And so we see a pattern. They call Yahushua what? John saw him and said, behold, the Lamb of Yahweh, who takes away what? The sins of the world. So we see the pattern from the Old Testament to the New Testament. And that's how we know who he is. Because he said, you go back and look. You go back looking at the Torah, you look in the prophets, and you look in the Psalms. And they will tell you exactly who I am, what to look for, what I would do, where I would be born, all the things. Right there. So that's why you got to go. See, and that's why I don't understand people that want to stay in the. Some people teach, well, we both sides. Some people want to stay in the Old Testament only. Some people want to stay in the New Testament only. But it's one book. And remember, the only difference is the sacrifice that was used and the place it's written. How many hear me? The sacrifice that's used, Yahushua is the eternal Lamb of Yah, the perfect sacrifice. Even Pilate had to say, I find no fault in him. In other words, he was perfect, spotless. So that's why it's important for us to look for patterns in everything. Just look for the pattern, and you find out a lot of things that you wouldn't find out any other way. You look at scientists and all of them, that's the number one thing they're looking for is a pattern. So what should we be doing? Looking for patterns. So Yahushua told them. You go back and read Moshe, and we just read Moshe. He said, there's one coming after me, like unto me. So, who's like Moshe? Joshua wasn't like Moses. David wasn't like Moses. So, who is this person? Let's find out. Let's go to John 1 and 45.
All right, John 1 and 45. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, we have found him, of whom Moses and the Torah and the prophets did write, Yahushua of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. And Nathanael said to him, can there any good thing come out of Nazareth? And Philip said to him, come and see.
See, they were looking for what Moses talked about. And they said, look, we found the one that Moshe talked about. There he is. Come and see. We found him. See why it's so important to look for pattern? They were looking for him. And this is what's so sad. They were all looking for him. But when he showed up, the leadership didn't want him. Because they would do what? Lose their power and control. And yet, if they had accepted him, wow, look where they'd have been. But since they didn't accept him, what did Yahushua say to him? You of your father, the devil. What a statement. What a statement. See, that's what I keep saying. People, you can be in the house and still miss it. So, Nathanael said, we found him. We found him. Where did we find that out? We went back to the Torah to find out. Somebody found this in, I think it's in Micah, but it says, O Bethlehem, out of you shall come, I think it says the root of David. Though that be little Ephrathah. Yeah, Bethlehem Ephrathah. Yeah. And so we're examining exactly what Yahushua said. See, to find out who this person is. Did you see it?
Micah 5 and 2.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It says, but you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of you shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose going forth have been from old, from everlasting.
So we know it couldn't have been somebody born from Adam, right? Because read it again.
It says, but you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of you shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting.
Wow. What a statement. From everlasting. We don't talk about it too often, but there's a place called eternity past, then we have the present, and there's a place called eternity future. And so time came into this space here, but he came from over here, eternity past. Came into time, spent 33 and a half years, and then he went back into eternity future. And so that's how we know who he is because what did he say? The Torah, the prophets, and the Psalms. See, he said all these things that are written of me are in those books. So that's where we go to look. That's why pattern is so important. If we don't follow the pattern, you come up with something dangerous and deadly. I'll give you a good example. This is kind of scientific, but oh well. Yeah, most of us have heard of an atom. It has three pieces, three parts to it: electron, neutron, proton. What happened when they split the atom? Very destructive. You see what happens when you break the pattern? That's why he told us, be sure you follow the pattern. Because if you don't, it becomes destructive. It becomes death. And so they split the atom, they broke the pattern, and guess what? It became very destructive. And that's the same thing for us. If we don't follow the pattern, it will destroy us. I'm going to say it again. If we do not follow the pattern, it will destroy us. That's why he told them. What was that? Revelations 22 and 16, I'm going to say. He said, don't add to and don't take away.
22 and 18.
Okay.
For I testify unto every man that hears the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, Yahweh shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Yahweh shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book.
See, that's what's going to happen if we don't follow the pattern.
That was Revelations 22, 18 and 19.
See, so if we don't follow the pattern, what's he says? I'm going to take your spot out of the book of life. That's the place we really want to be, is in that Lamb's book of life. And so that's why it's so important that we look for the pattern, because we don't want to add to and we don't want to take away, because we just showed you. If you, looking at the atom, there were three parts: electrons, protons, and neutrons. And man messed around and monkeyed with it and split it up. And guess what? He came up with this very explosive thing where the atom usually just gives life. It's what makes us all function. We have trillions of atoms in each one of us. Trillions of them. That's a lot of atoms. But they all follow the pattern. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And so that's why it's so important for us to follow the pattern, or we'll become destructive to our own self. And so he said, you go looking at these places and you'll find me. Let's go to Isaiah, I think it's 63. Let me make sure about that. No, 61 is the one I want. 63 is a good one, but 61 is the one. Isaiah 61.
What verse?
Start at verse 1.
Isaiah 61, beginning in verse 1. The Spirit of the Master Yahweh is upon me, because Yahweh has anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh and the day of vengeance of our Elohim, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of Yahweh, that he might be glorified. And they shall build the old waste places, and they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations.
Okay, so this is exactly what he did. He came to proclaim the gospel, the Bezerot, to those that were lost. He opened the prisons of those that were not necessarily physically bound, but spiritually bound also. Because, find the scripture for me. It says, and they that sat in darkness have what? Seen a great light. See, this is telling us what he would do. He would set the captive free. They were held captive by the Pharisees and the Sadducees and all the laws and things that they had brought up and did, where they were captive. Okay.
Matthew 4 and 16 says, the people that sat in darkness saw great light, and to them which sat in the region and shadow of death, light is sprung up.
Now that's a direct quote out of the prophets. I forget which one I was going to say, Isaiah. Yeah. Okay.
Isaiah 9 and 2, the people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them has the light shined.
Now, you see the pattern we're doing? We're doing exactly what he said do in Luke 24:44. He said in the Torah, in the prophets, and in the Psalms. And the Psalms speak of him also. So we're looking because he gave us a pattern to know exactly who he was, what he would do, where he would be born. O Bethlehem, Ephratah, though thou be small, yet out of thee. Where was he born? Bethlehem. And then he also was called a Nazarene, a Nazarite. Where did he live at? Nazareth. Huh? Nazarene, excuse me. Where was he live? Where did he live at? Nazareth. See the connection here? He's always letting us know what to look for so you know exactly who he was, where he was going to be, and all of these things so that we could, all we had to do is look for the pattern. See, we didn't have to go looking for something else. He didn't say, did he mention the book of Enoch? See, he said, Moshe, the prophets, and the Psalms. That's where you go look, and you'll see me. Wow, that's why a pattern is so important to us. I'll show you again why a pattern is so important. What is H2O? What is H2O? 2. Ooh, big difference. Two, instead of one oxygen, you got 2 now. But look at the difference. Water, we can drink freely. But you try to go drink some peroxide, like you do water. See what happens to you. See why it's so important? See, man started messing with stuff, and that's why we got so many of these things wrong with us. Because man started messing with stuff. And so that's why if you want water, you got to have H2O, period. Don't add anything to it. Don't take anything away. If you take away the 2, you ain't got water. See, that's why pattern is so important. We got to know how to stay relevant in these days and times. Because go to Ephesians 4 and 14. Listen, the deception is coming from where? The house.
Now, Ephesians 4 and 14 says, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive.
See, that's why we got to know. We got to know what to look for. See, even in the last days, we know what to look for. They're going to bring an image and give it life. One of the major marks on that image, he has a wound where? Is that where Yahushua's wounds are at? Hands and his feet. Because they're going to ask some questions from Zechariah. They're going to say, where did you get those wounds from? He's going to say, I received these in the house of my friends. That's how we know the difference. Because the Hasitan is a what? He's an imitator. He's going to try to imitate what Moshe and Eliyahu do. They're going to call fire down from heaven. They're going to work miracles. The miracles don't save you, does it? How many people got saved when Yahushua worked all the miracles? He said himself, they just come out here for bread. They didn't come out there for the truth. See, that's why it's so important. Just pattern. He said, I'm going to show you how to recognize truth from error. Go to Deuteronomy 13:1. See, he gives us a pattern. He said, this is how you're going to know me.
Deuteronomy 13:1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and gives you a sign or wonder, and the sign or wonder come to pass, whereof he spoke unto you, saying, let us go after other Elohim which you have not known, and let us serve them, you shall not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For Yahweh your Elohim proves you to know whether you love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall walk after Yahweh your Elohim and fear him, and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and cleave unto him.
Okay, so the pattern of an evil person is what? To take you away. Thank you, sir. That's their pattern, is to take you away from the Father and the Son and his Torah, to take you away from Shabbat, to take you away from the Moedim, to take you away from eating kosher. See, that's what they do. They take us away. That's why we're looking at the pattern. Because Yahushua said, no man cometh to the Father but by the Son. And so the Son's always pointing us toward the Father. So if they're not pointing us toward the Father, like the Son is doing, we know something's wrong. And then some deny the Son. And the Father says, you can't have the Son without you can't have the Father without the Son. No man cometh to the Son but by the Father. Yes, I got it backwards? Yeah, but I think it's both ways. Look again. Look again. You have to go through the Son to get to the Father. Okay, look again. And so that's why it's so important that we look at the pattern. Because the pattern tells us what evil looks like, what truth looks like. That's very important for us to know. We got to know what evil looks like. Because we know it's always going to what? Draw us away from the Father, from the Son. Truth is always going to lead us to the Father and to the Son. And that's why he said, you go look in the writings. And if we look in the writings, one of the writings is Proverbs chapter 8. You start at verse 22. And we see the Son.
Proverbs 28 and 2.
22 and 8.
8. I got it backwards. My bad. All right, Proverbs 22 and...
That's where it's at.
All right. We'll find it here in just a second.
That's it.
Proverbs 8 and 22. Yahweh possessed me in the beginning of his way before his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. And when he set a compass upon the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree, that the waters should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth. Then I was by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him.
Who's this talking about? The Son. So that's why we go back and look in the Torah, Nevi'im, or the writings, because that's where we see him in depth. This is really, really in depth right here. It's showing us that the Father is who? He's the architect, and Yahushua is the contractor. He said, I was by him when he put the compass on. all those things. So that's why we go back and look for pattern after pattern after pattern. It can show us evil, it can show us the truth. And since we're looking for truth, we're going to keep looking for it because he told us what to look for. See, let's go to Matthew, I think it's 24:24.
Matthew 24 and 24. For there shall arise false messiahs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
Did you hear that? He's telling us what to look for. False messiahs, false prophets, false teachers. Paul added to it. Peter added to it. Let's go to, what is that, 2 Peter 2 and 1 and 2? And so that's why we want to look for the pattern.
2 Peter 2, beginning in verse 1, it says, But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the master that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their destructive ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of.
See, Yahushua told us. Now Peter's telling us. Paul told us. They all told us about these things, what to look for. Because if we don't know what to look for, it'll come up on us unawares, and we won't know. That's why we got to know the difference between light and darkness. Let me rephrase that. True light and true darkness. Because Hasatan can do what? He can transform himself into a minister of light. But guess what? Before he's through, he's going to pull you away. See? That's what we need to watch out for. Remember, look how he got Adam and Eve. How many words did he use? One word. He added one word. See how destructive it is to break the pattern? Yahuwah told him, do not eat of the tree. And he said, it's okay to eat. And they bought the lie. Because they didn't follow the pattern. The pattern said, don't eat. And they ate. Well, what's happening today? Mankind is doing the same thing. He's eating from the wrong tree. He's eating from the tree of good and evil. And guess what it's bringing? Death. Look all around you. I'm talking about the religious world. Look how many things are happening in the religious world. And that it's surely abominable. He hates it, just like he did back then. See? And that's why Solomon said, there's nothing new. Well, they did the same back then in the Old Testament. They're doing the New Testament as they're doing today. So let's make sure we look for the pattern. I'll give you another little pattern. How do you get a fire? I need the 3 elements. Fuel, air, and combustion. And it doesn't matter which one of us in this room uses it. Only we follow that pattern, fuel, air, combustion, we get what? Fire. But you take one of those out, you don't get nothing. See how important it is? Just this simple thing about fire. 3 elements. And it doesn't matter which one of us uses it. That's why this thing about color, it's so stupid. You got to know that's of the devil. It's of Hasatan. because the truth doesn't care who examined it or who uses it. It has nothing to do with color. Just like a fire. I don't care what color you are. If you got fuel, air, and combustion, you get a. See, nature's telling us that's all wrong. Nature's telling us it's all wrong. And here's another thing to look at. I don't care what culture, what people you go to, there's 2 or 3 things they're doing. They got blood in their veins, and they're breathing his air. Show me a culture is not doing that. If you do, they're dead. Okay? See what I mean? And another thing, almost every, I'm going to say every culture, they're all worshiping some type of Elohim. I don't care where you go. You can go to the deepest, darkest jungles in the Amazon or Africa or wherever. They all got their deities because they know. Let's go to, where's that at? John 1 and 8, I think, somewhere around in there, where he says he lighteth every man that cometh into the world. So it's innate in us to know that there is what some people call a higher power. He's the highest power.
So John 1 and 9
Okay.
says that was the true light which lights every man that comes into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world did not know him. He came into his own, and his own received him not.
Wow, what a statement. See, that's why this thing about pattern is so important. Because if we follow the pattern, we're going to get what the pattern said you're going to receive. Yahushua in John, Revelations 22 and 14, he says, blessed are they that keep his commandments, that they might have a right to enter into the city and what? Eat from the tree of life. He said, if you follow a pattern, I don't care what color you are, how tall you are, how poor you are, how rich you are, I don't care what background you come from, if you follow the pattern, this is what you're going to get. Because he said, behold, I'll come quickly. And what? In verse 12, and my reward is with me to give to every man according to his works. See, all he's telling us, look for my pattern. Look for my pattern. That's all we got to look for. Stop looking for things way out here. No, get in this book and look for the pattern. That's what I do all the time. I get in here and look for the pattern because that's where it's at. And if you don't look for pattern, you're going to miss it. What happens when you don't use pattern? Chaos and confusion. And the scripture says, Yahuwah is not the author of confusion. So, and where's that at? James 1 and, what was it? Let me say 15. He said, he's the Father of lights, and in him is no variableness or shadow of turning. He is the same. Okay.
James 1 and 17. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning.
Keep reading. I think there's something there.
Of his own will he begat us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures.
Okay. I'm looking for the one where it says, what does that say? Where it says, Yahweh is not the author of confusion. Well, there's confusion there. It's what? Every evil word.
Oh, yeah.
See? So when it's confusing, that means they didn't follow the pattern. Nowadays, they got these, you got it?
Yeah, it's James 3 and 16.
Okay.
So James 3 and 16 says, for where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work.
Back up to verse 14, 3:14, and come back down.
All right, 14 says, "But if you have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, do not glory and do not lie against the truth. This wisdom does not descend from above, but is earthly, sensual, and devilish. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work."
So what's he telling us? When you see a person with that kind of a pattern, that's evil and devilish. See that? That's what the scriptures are telling us. This is what you look for to know when a person is evil and devilish. They're envying and they're strife and they're hating and all these things. You know, I don't even be with that bunch. See? Because the pattern says they're going away from y'all, not to him. See, where's that at? It says where is it? The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, and peace. See, that's what we look for. A person that's in peace and got love and got joy. But the other person is what? Not so. So that's why we look for a pattern in people to see who they are. And remember, when do you really want to see a person? Huh? Under pressure. Under pressure. That's when you really want to see a person. Because that tell you who he is. Did you see it?
Galatians 5:22.
Yeah, back up. It shows the other side.
All right, so beginning in 19.
Yeah.
It says, "Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in times past, that they that do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh."
So what is Paul telling us? Rav Shaul, he's saying, this is the pattern that'll get you kicked out of the Lamb's Book of Life. This is the pattern you look for to know those people are evil. What they're doing is devilish. See, that's what he's trying. See, that's what these scriptures are trying to tell us. Over and over and over. Let's go to back to 2 Peter. Let me get my scripture here. 2 Peter 2 and 19, and read to the end of the chapter.
2 Peter 2:19. "While they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same is he brought in bondage. For if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Master and Savior Yahushua the Messiah, they are again entangled therein and overcome, and the latter end is worse with them than the beginning. For it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than, after they had known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb: the dog has returned to his vomit again, and the sow that was washed to her wallowing in the mire."
See, he's saying, look for this pattern. You know what you're dealing with. They promise you liberty, but they themselves are what? Servants of corruption. He says, look for this. This is what the scriptures is telling us. You look for these patterns, you'll know who you're dealing with. That's awesome. This book is it's so great. He warned us. And he said, and he told us what to look for. He told us what to look for. Let's go to 2 Timothy 3:1. In the last days, what? Perilous times.
2 Timothy 3:1. "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahweh, having a form of reverence, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away.
Jump down to verse 13.
Verse 13 says, But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived.
See, he's showing us the pattern of the last days. Are we in the last days? You better believe it, because it's getting worse. See, I don't know how many know what WEF stands for, but they're getting worse. It's World Economic Forum, and that's where you get the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the Warburgs, and I can't think of this, Klaus Schwab, I think is his name. And these are the people that are trying to control things. See, they're trying to get this thing so, and it doesn't make sense. If they kill all the people and it's just them, who's going to be the servants? How they going to make money? Money's not going to mean anything if there's nobody here. So what they're doing is, but the Father said the day would come. They will do what? Throw their idols of silver and gold to the bats. Because Yahweh is coming to do what? To shake. He said, once born again, I shake heaven and earth. What they think things are shaking now, they ain't seen nothing yet. Because the whole is going to be shaken. It said in where's that? Isaiah said the earth will be like a drunken man, roll to and fro like a drunken man. That's a whole lot of shaking going on. So he said, if you just look for the patterns, pattern is so important. We've looked at it naturally. 3 things to get a fire. Doesn't matter who uses it. If you follow the pattern, you're going to get a fire. See? And it's just like that in math. If you follow the pattern, there's addition, multiplication, division, and subtraction. But what did California come up with? Oh, that was a different word we used for it. Yeah, but we called it fuzzy math, because you could choose the answer. How's that going to work? Same thing happened in sports. Everybody got a trophy. They did that. Everybody got a trophy. But what are they teaching them? That's not the way life works. In life, there's losers and winners. Amen? Huh? Or whatever they were, everybody got one. But that's not the way it works. There's winners and losers in life. So now they're raising up a bunch of things. We all going to win. No, it ain't going to happen that way. Life is not that way. There's winners and losers. Look around you. There's winners and losers. And that's what we need to teach our children and each other, that sometimes we're going to win, sometimes we're going to lose. But we keep our eyes on the prize. The pattern is to keep our eyes on the pattern, whether we're winning or losing, because in Romans 8:28 it says, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love Yahweh, to them are called according to his purpose. All means all. May not look like it, but he said it, yeah, it is. When I'm through, it's going to be for your good and his glory. See? Just go back and look at the book. Look at the pattern. Look at Dawid. He was a little shepherd boy. And he went up and he played so well, he prayed that evil spirit off of Saul. And Saul tried to kill him. Now here's David on the run, running for his life. But did it turn out for his good? You better believe it did, because he ascended the throne and was king of Israel for what? 40 years. But that was the pattern he used to show us. Same thing with Joseph. His own kinfolks done it to him. Sometimes his own kinfolks don't do it to us. That's what's tough. That's what's hard to deal with. Your own kinfolks. They threw him in there. But guess what? It turned out for his good. And you see this pattern over and over. Jacob and Uncle Laban. He said, you changed my wages, what? 10 times. But when he left, how was he? Filthy rich. See, it turned out for his good. Didn't look like it. See, a lot of situations we're in don't look like it. But all we have to do is keep trusting in him. And he says, watch me work. Doesn't look like it, but I have a pattern of making things that look bad turn into good. The children of Israel at the Red Sea didn't look too good, did it? Mountains on either side. Old big bad Pharaoh in the back and the Red Sea in front. Box can't know where to go. Can't go left, can't go right, and you sure can't go backwards. They couldn't go forward. But he says, I know. I did it on purpose. See, sometimes he does things on purpose. I used to say this often, but I haven't said it in a while. He's a very economical Elohim. He gets many things out of one event. He got rid of Pharaoh, and he taught the children of Israel how to walk in faith. See, so many times, it's just not us. He's getting a number of things going on at that same time. See, and that's what he wants us to realize. It looks bad. But he says, do you realize who I am? Do you really realize who I am? He told Abraham, is there anything too hard for me? Here's a man that's 99 years old, and his little sweetheart is 90. And he says, all right, watch me work. Next time, in the season of you're going to have a son. 9 months later, here comes this little bundle of joy. Isaac there, and they had laughter. She said, Sarah said, the master caused me to laugh. Here I am, 90 years old, I'm giving this up. See what it says? I'll wait sometime till you know it ain't you. It is him. See, he waits sometime. There's a scripture in, I think it's Deuteronomy chapter 32, where he says, I'm going to wait till all your power is gone. Sometimes he does that to us. He waits till we ain't got another dime left, we ain't got no strength left, or nothing. He said, then I'm going to show up, and you're going to have to give me the glory and the honor and the praise and the worship, because you ain't got none. Was that Deuteronomy 32, 39? 36, okay.
Deuteronomy 32 and 36. For Yahweh shall judge his people and repent himself for his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, and there is none shut up or left. Then he will say, where is their Elohim, their rock in whom they trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices, and drink the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you and be your protection.
I'm going to wait till all their power is gone, till they see that ain't no way but the Father. Ain't no way that human done this. So we have to give him glory and honor and praise. He did it again. I think it's Hosea 5 and 11, where he says, I'm going to go back to my place, and I'm going to wait till you confess your offense against me. Wow. See what is in them? That's why he told us go look back in the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the writings, was that close? And so if it's not 11, maybe 15, 5:15 or 5:11, one of those. Okay.
Hosea 5 and 15. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early.
See, he said, I'm going to go back to my place and I'm going to wait till all your power is gone. See, sometimes he does that to you and me so that we know he's still king and he's still sitting on the throne. And he wants his servants, us, to give him the praise and honor for it, for what he does for us. See? He's so great. He said, just keep looking at the pattern and watch me work. He says, is there anything too hard for me? How can something be too hard for him? Go back to Deuteronomy 32 and I'm going to say 39 this time, where it says, I am Yahweh. I kill, I make alive, I wound, and I heal.
Deuteronomy 32 and 39. See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no Elohim with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand.
See what he's telling us? He says, look at the pattern. He said, look at the pattern I'm showing you. And you see it all through the scriptures where he came and rescued us over and over. Sometimes we were down to zero, but he came and rescued us. Look at the pattern in the scriptures, what he's trying to tell us. He said, just look at the pattern. Matthew 23, the last couple of verses, where it says, O Jerusalem, O Jerusalem.
Matthew 23, beginning in 37. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you that kill the prophets and stone them which are sent unto you, how often would I have gathered your children together, even as a hen gathers her chickens under her wings, but you would not. Behold, your house is left to you desolate. For I say unto you, you shall not see me henceforth until you say, blessed is he that comes in the name of Yahweh.
See what he's going to do? He's going to wait. He says, just look at my pattern. I'm on your side. See, and that's why we come. We keep Shabbat, because we want him to know we're on your side. We're on your team. we're like Rahab. I want to go with that bunch. Rahab said, we heard what he did in Egypt. We heard. I want to go with that bunch. See, and that's what we want. We want to go with Yahushua, because got the last say. See, and he says, I'm showing you a pattern. How to recognize truth from error. I'm showing you a pattern, even in the natural. How to get a fire. Doesn't matter who uses it, you can get a fire. He says, this is how simple I'm showing it to you. See, we think it's hard, but he says, I'm showing you how simple it is. What do you think great inventors do? They just keep looking for pattern and pattern. And if they say this pattern didn't work, let's try something different. Show you an example. Thomas Edison, he created the light bulb. Well, they give him credit for it. Let's put it like that. Yeah, but he's the one that they really give credit for. There's some people, other people that had light bulbs before him. But his light bulb didn't last very long. And there was this other guy, I forget his name. Somebody, y'all remember the guy? He came up with a better wood. Yeah, yeah, and it made the light bulb last a lot longer. See, pattern. He kept looking at the pattern. We got a light, but it don't last very long. So they just added something. See, they kept looking, and when they found this pattern of was it cardboard? Yeah, yeah, it lasted a lot longer. See, so they know how to do that. What's wrong with us? You know what? You know what? I've noticed something. I've seen another pattern. You wanna know what that pattern is? We used to be, we were the microwave folks. We'll stick it in the microwave. We're not that way no more. What are we now? We're the nano folks. Yesterday, see, pattern we've fallen into. But the Abba's telling us, you just watch for the pattern and you see me. Let's go to Romans 1 and 20, and I'm going to try to end it right here. He says, you look at this pattern and you'll see my power.
All right, Romans 1 and 20. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and supernal nature, so that they are without excuse.
He says, just go out those and look at the pattern. And you can see me, because he's a great Elohim. And he pattern is what he uses. What should we be using? Pattern. See, he's got a sun out there, and the earth circles the sun. And it takes how long? 365 and a quarter days to go around there. And it's still keeping that pattern. The moon takes how long? 29.5 days. And it keeps that pattern. So the Father said, just look out there, and you see me that I use pattern. That's why the flat earth just won't work. You got billions and billions and billions and billions and trillions or whatever number of planets and stars, and they all have something in common. They're round and they are spinning. Pattern. And that's what he's telling us. Just look for my pattern. You can get a fire if you get fuel, air, and combustion. Doesn't matter. If you examine the truth, it's going to be the same. It doesn't matter who examines it, because it's the truth. That's how important it is. He says, just look for the pattern. And he says, if man stopped messing with my atoms, this world would be a little bit safer. But whew, they split the atom and boom. So, and that's a warning to us when we break the pattern, because we just read it in Revelation. He said, I'm going to take your name out of the Lamb's Book of Life. And he said, I'll add the plagues to you that I put on the people in Egypt. Why? Because we broke the pattern. So tonight, we're looking at the third pattern. I forgot my notes, but I hope I did fairly well. And so, Abba, Yahuwah, we love and appreciate you. Appreciate your son, Yahushua, B'Shem Yahushua. Amen.